The movie opens with a saddening portrayal of the tragic events unfolding in Nigeria, depicting the turmoil that ensues as rebels, under the leadership of General Mustafa from the Islam religion, seek to overthrow the legitimate government headed by President Samuel, who followed Christianity and were a member of the Igbo ethnic tribe. Against this backdrop, the voices of various journalists can be heard, diligently reporting on the unfolding crisis, providing a multifaceted view of the country's plight. The scene is set with a powerful and evocative depiction of the political and social problems gripping the nation. While receiving live information from a counterpart located in Nigeria, a report informs the world that President Samuel and his entire family have been assassinated. In a giant Navy ship located in the ocean near the borders of Nigeria, Navy SEAL Late Harry jumps out of the chopper that transported him, accompanied by his team. Even though they are just arriving at the base, Harry and his team are informed that they will need to head out immediately, getting briefed that they need to extract U.S. citizens from Nigeria before situations escalate. Taking them inside the bunker of the ship, the captain opens up a projector that shows Nigeria and begins to explain the problematic zones. The team's prime objective was to find and extract Dr. Lina with International Relief Services, who was an American by marriage whose husband had passed away. Their secondary objective was to extract nuns and a priest if they chose to leave. After telling them that their presence on the ground would be considered hostile, the captain shows them the extraction point and ends the brief. After the team is fully prepared, they are airlifted over Cameroon and parachuted into the dense forest to avoid detection. Upon reaching the ground, the team stealthily makes their way to a small refugee clinic, moving quietly past rows of sleeping patients until they reach a section separated by a curtain. Upon parting the curtain, Harry discovers Lina and two of the nurses tending to a severely injured man. He informs them that they are there to facilitate their extraction. Angry at the interruption, Lina tells Harry to leave because he was messing with her operation. Seeming calm and collected, Harry tells her that her team is in danger and asks the soldier next to him to quickly assist her with the procedure as he has prior experience. After Lina transfers her patient to the soldier, Harry escorts her outside and outlines their extraction plan. However, Lina adamantly refuses to abandon her 70 patients. Recognizing Lina's determination, Harry requests some time to speak with the captain over the radio and discuss the situation further. Once he gets his orders, Harry orders Lina to gather all of her patients who can walk and explains that they will leave in half an hour. As soon as the sun comes up, the group is gathered and ready to set out while the priest and two of the nuns remain behind to take care of the injured patients. As the group embarks on their journey, they traverse a great distance through the dense forest, striving to outpace any rebel forces in pursuit. The trek proves to be more arduous than anticipated, with many individuals unable to maintain a swift pace due to their injuries and physical condition, causing the journey to extend beyond the expected duration. In the dead of night, several hours after darkness descends, Henry receives a report from one of his vigilant men that guerrilla rebels are closing in on their position. Understanding the risk posed by the crying child, Henry urgently instructs Lina to take any measures necessary to silence the infant. Concealing themselves deep within the dense foliage, the group maintains absolute silence as they wait for the imminent threat to pass. The group narrowly avoids detection when the child begins to whimper, but Lina skillfully soothes her to sleep. Believing the immediate danger had passed, a U.S. soldier instructs the group to emerge, unaware that a rebel had remained hidden. Upon spotting them, the rebel tries to alert his comrades and opens fire, only to be swiftly incapacitated by Henry, who deftly silences him with a decisive strike to the neck before he can raise an alarm. When the area is clear, Lina tells Henry that the rebels are going on the mission and begs him to stop them. Telling her that it would affect their mission, Henry refuses and tells her that they need to remain on course. Back at the clinic, the place is surrounded by rebel soldiers who barge in despite the pleading of the priest and the nuns. Seeing that they were Christian, the commander orders the death of the missionaries and the distraction of the place as well as the people in it. In the forest, the group reaches the extraction point and observes two helicopters descending. Against the protests of the others, Henry forcibly escorts Lina to one of the choppers, revealing that his intention was never to evacuate the refugees alongside her. Despite her resistance, he forces her into the helicopter and the team departs, leaving the refugees behind. As they fly over the small clinic, they see it burned down and all the bodies of the murdered people thrown all around the place. Feeling sad about what he had seen, Henry orders the helicopter to be turned around so they can save the refugees that were left behind. The soldiers can find the group exactly where they had left them and reunite them with Lina. He then tells her that they are only able to put 12 people people in the chopper, while the rest wait for another extraction, putting the young children and the elderly folk on the helicopters. Lina, Henry, and his men, as well as the rest of the group, stay behind. Henry contacts the captain, pleading for 3 helicopters to evacuate the entire group, but the captain denies the request, explaining the prohibition of their presence in Nigerian airspace. Faced with the reality of being abandoned, Henry resolves to press on with the journey on foot. Meanwhile, rebel soldiers reach the U.S. extraction point and find signs of the group's passage, deducing that some had departed via helicopter while the rest continued on foot. While they're taking a short break, Henry is informed by one of his soldiers that their group are being followed by dozens of rebel soldiers. Taking her aside, Henry asks Lina if she knew why they were being followed, but she assures him that she didn't. Fearing being intercepted by the rebels, Henry urges them on the road while having his men clean up their tracks. Following several hours of travel, the group reaches a village and observes rebels carrying out ethnic cleansing. Through their binoculars, they witness the appalling atrocities being perpetrated and are deeply disturbed. Unable to idly stand by, Henry resolves to take action, directing his team sniper to eliminate the rebels methodically before they engage in direct combat. During the attack, Henry is attacked by one of the rebels, but is saved by one of the men he saved before he could sustain much damage. The soldiers are horrified by all the horrible things they witnessed in the village, shocked at the atrocities that were being committed. When the soldiers find a mother whose breasts have been mutilated by the rebels, the team is shaken to the core and gives the suffering mother morphine to pass away in peace. Once they were able to rid the village of the rebels, the group gathered all the fallen bodies and took the ones who survived with them. After resuming their journey on the road, the sizable group travels for several hours before halting for the night. While standing guard, Lina approaches Henry and offers to tend to his injured hand. As she wraps the bandage, she shares with him the sad story of her arrival in Africa, recounting the loss of her husband, who sacrificed himself to shield her from the rebels in Sierra Leone. In the morning, Henry is startled away by one of his soldiers named Michael, who informs him that the rebel group has been closing in on them all night. Michael also informs him that someone in their group must be transmitting a signal that was leading the rebels directly to them. Apprehensive, Henry orders the weapons to be taken away from all the fugitives and each one to be searched. He then orders Lina to point out everyone who had joined their team in the past 3 days. Just as they begin to search everyone, one of the men begins to run away, forcing Henry's men to shoot him down. When searching for the fallen man, they find a transmitter in his pocket and begin to interrogate him. With his last breath, the man tells Henry that he was forced into giving away their position because the rebels kidnapped his family. Furious at the betrayal, Henry confronts the group, demanding an explanation for the attempt to disclose their location to the enemy and even threatening to shoot someone if necessary. However, before he can act, a young man named Arthur intervenes, revealing himself as the sole surviving son of the assassinated president and the rightful heir to the Igbo nation. He explains that the rebels are hunting for him to end the family and that the group, including Dr. Lina, is simply trying to protect him. Once they receive all the information they need, the group gathers up their things and heads out. When the rebels finally arrive, one of the soldiers who had stayed behind to derail their arrival begins to ignite explosions all around them, forcing them to call for backup. Out in the jungle, Henry receives a call from the captain and informs him about their current situation, as well as the presence of the prince who had been traveling with them. He begs the captain for an airlift, but the captain denies the request, informing him of the dangerous situation and advising him to abandon Arthur, who was compromising his mission. When the captain realizes Henry is not going to change his mind, he urges him to stay safe and assures him that he will send air support as soon as he is allowed to. Henry brings the idea to his team, who support his decision wholeheartedly. Proud of his team, Henry orders them to gather everyone and so they can head out. On their way out, Lina takes Henry aside and apologizes for keeping Arthur's existence a secret. Assuring her that he understood, he promised to get her people to Cameron where they would be safe. While traveling, the soldiers realize that the rebels have caught up to them and are forced to make a perimeter when they can defend themselves. While waiting, James, one of the U.S. soldiers, is shot in the soldiers, revealing that there was a sniper trained on them. After taking out the sniper and helping their friends, the group of soldiers is startled by an array of explosions and gunfire that erupts all around them. While Henry and his team counter the attacking rebels, they discover that the explosions have injured some of the refugees, including Lina. Hastening to her side, Henry tries to rouse the unconscious Lina and urgently implores her that they must evacuate the area immediately. Henry comes to the grim realization that one of his soldiers, Michael, has sustained severe injuries and tragically passed away in his arms. Despite the profound grief over the loss of their comrade, the team understands the urgency of evacuating the remaining refugees. As they attempt to assemble everyone, the group is suddenly attacked by another rebel assault. As gunfire blazes and the sound of explosions sirens is deafening all around them. The SEAL soldiers do their best to get the refugees out of danger, but lose James and Frank in the process. Lena is severely hurt by an explosion nearby, and Henry is shot in the shoulder attempting to help her. Unwilling to let it derail him, Henry carries Lena on his shoulder and runs to safety, while his men hold down the line. While attempting to fulfill their mission, many of the U.S. soldiers are killed in the process, while Henry is severely hurt. Seeing his men fall one by one, Henry returns to the line while the refugees and Lena run toward the border. In a moment of despair, Henry and his men witness 2 U.S. jets approaching and obliterating the 300 pursuing rebels. Seeking whatever cover they can find, Henry and 3 of his men manage to survive the onslaught and are rescued by the arriving helicopters. As he is evacuated, Henry is thanked by a woman he had saved, who expresses her enduring gratitude, assuring him that she will never forget his help. As the injured soldiers receive medical attention, Lena bids farewell to her people. Arthur is hailed and honored by the members of his tribe, who had been displaced as refugees in Cameroon. Lena observes the joyous celebration of their king as the helicopter ascends, carrying her back to her home. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.